Hi, thank you for joining the Trident Crypto Academy, where tonight we're going to talk about cryptocurrencies and blockchain technology, but most importantly, we're going to talk about how it can change your future and your financial freedom. Hi, I'm Scott Carter, and I am the founder of DG Capital. DG Capital is in this space. We have our own cryptocurrency. I do speaking on cryptocurrency, and I provide education to individuals that are interested in learning more about this new technology that, quite frankly, is going to fundamentally change how we conduct commerce, and it could fundamentally change your path and your future. And let's just face it, we're all here because we want to make more money. And I know you want to make more money, just like I want to make more money. But many times, it's hard to find that opportunity that hits the spark, that takes advantage of your motivation, of your skill sets, and new technology that can enable you to improve your income. We're going to talk a lot about that, and we're going to do it in the context of blockchain and crypto, and hopefully you'll find that opportunity for you to achieve your financial freedom goals. So the first thing I want to say is that, like any good presentation, I've given you a disclaimer. I'm not your financial advisor. I talk about performance of cryptocurrencies and other things. Past performance doesn't guarantee future results. You need to do your own research, and you need to make sure that whatever you decide with regard to investing or with regard to moving forward, that you're making the decision with your eyes wide open. So there's your disclaimer and disclosure. Now let's get into it. The first thing I want to say is that cryptocurrencies are not the first technology that's come down the pipe. And you've got to ask yourself, frankly, like I've asked myself, why didn't I pay attention when previous technologies came into existence? Why didn't I give them the deference they needed to determine whether it could impact me personally in my future? So my caution right here is to say, don't be over skeptical. We can talk ourselves out of a lot of opportunities because we don't have all the information. We don't have a mature market. Or maybe somebody said something negative about it and it's influenced your decision. So come in with your eyes wide open, but also come in with your mind wide open, because our discussion tonight is about a technology that's big, but it's just getting started. And I think you'll discover that as we move forward. But a best way to reinforce this is to talk about and review the technologies that have come about over the last 35 years that, if you've been around, maybe you just didn't even think about. I certainly didn't. I'm going to use myself as an example. So I've been around long enough to know and was an adult when Apple went public in 1980. Now, I'm going to talk from the perspective in this example of just having invested $1,000. Had you invested $1,000 in Apple in 1980, it'd be worth $442,000. I didn't even think about it. I was working in an insurance job. Here is a new technology, a new application. It's sexy, it's interesting, and I didn't even give it a second thought on how it could change my career. Had I just invested, it'd been worth a lot of money. The same thing happened in 1983. Just 3 years later, Microsoft went public. And Microsoft was a new upstart company. I mean, it's hard to imagine it today because they're so big. But in 1983, they just went public and they were small. And I knew a lot of individuals that were starting to work for Microsoft. And they were salespeople selling the applications around the country. And they made a modest salary and they were given bonuses in stock. They're all millionaires, multimillionaires. Why didn't I personally, this is an indictment on me, why didn't I personally pause for a second and think strategically of how Microsoft could have impacted my future career when I was in my mid-20s? And I say these things because when you are presented with something new, not all the dots are connected. It's not always there 100%, and you've got to take some risk. And then, just to look at Amazon, it's the same story. 20 years ago, $1,000 just invested would be $1 million today, let alone if you worked for the company or tried to get into that. And then if you look at Google just recently, all of these companies, these 4 companies just happen to be the 4 biggest companies from a market valuation standpoint on the planet. And every one of them I knew about. I had an opportunity to consider it, and yet I passed. Now, did I pass because I was afraid I was going to fail? Did I pass because it didn't hit my skill sets? Or the status quo, the current job and the current safety kept me from taking a risk? That's a backdrop because when we are, and why you're here, when you're considering something new, open up the possibilities for something that could change your future and your career. And the reason why this is so big is that that same $1,000, had you invested it in Bitcoin just 7 years ago, would you hazard a guess? You're going to be amazed. It's by far the biggest of all the companies. Now, I'm not talking about 40 years ago like Apple. As of July 26th, this is when Bitcoin was trading at 7,900, your $1,000 investment already would be worth $2 million. Do you know how many millionaires and multimillionaires have been created in just 7 years with blockchain and cryptocurrencies? It's unbelievable. And I'm here to tell you tonight that that can be you. It's just getting started. And I think you're going to discover that spark you've been looking for, that new opportunity that enables you to take control of your life, to generate more income, to generate more freedom, might be right in front of you today with this new technology. So when you think about any new opportunity, you got to evaluate how big the opportunity is. You know, you could have a great idea, but if it's just in a local market, maybe the number of customers is not big enough for you to make money. So with blockchain and crypto, I want to give you a sense of the scale, because from a sizing standpoint and a potential growth standpoint, it's a no-brainer. This is one of those few technologies that are transformational. And the reason why is because it can impact every financial transaction at maturity, every financial transaction that we conduct. That's a big deal, and I'll explain more in a moment. It's financially huge. Think about all the transactions that take place. Maybe buying a car, maybe buying a house, or what about if you just wanted to make an investment? All of those things eventually, due to blockchain technology and cryptocurrencies, will be impacted. So you start to see how financially huge it can be. It's very disruptive. You know, I can give you the buzzwords, distributed ledger technology, peer-to-peer, decentralized. We'll cover all this, don't worry about it. But those are transformational, and those are disruptive to current businesses and the status quo. But that disruption is what creates the opportunity for you and for me. Of course, anything that's new that impacts financial transactions, there's going to be political and geopolitical discussions. That's no different with cryptocurrencies. It's not settled law yet. So as that's being discovered, as you're learning, so will the laws develop and mature. Don't let that set you aside or scare you, because that's just the way new technologies go. The fact that it's global, I think this is very important, because I'm in a business currently that is domestic. So even though it's a big market, I'm limited to the US market. But when something is global, you get scale very quickly. I'm reminded of Facebook. You know, Facebook is global. They went to 2 billion users, it seems like, overnight, and billions of dollars of revenue because the masses have a need for it. So when you put all those together, what you should see are dollar signs. And it's dollar signs. If you learn this and get out in front of everybody else with knowledge and expertise and insight, you can take advantage and exploit the new opportunity. The reason why this is so significant is because there have only been 2 or 3 times in the history of our conducting business that we've had this major of a change. And I want to briefly touch on them. You know, there was a time up until mid-1800s where we were on the barter system, meaning we traded goods for goods. We didn't have a currency. Maybe I grew corn and you raised livestock. And we figured out how we traded these bartered these goods, in a commerce or in a way we live. It was very local, and we had control of it. But that wasn't going to last forever because the world's big and the U.S. was big. So in the mid-1800s, we actually introduced coinage, a currency, and it put us on the gold standard. So instead of bartering, we had a gold coin in our pocket, and a 1 ounce gold coin was worth $20. Half an ounce, $10. And we were in that environment for almost 150 years. In the mid-1930s, we went from gold to paper. It was just an easier, more convenient way to conduct transactions. So instead of carrying a 1 ounce heavy gold piece in our pocket, we exchanged that with the government for a $20 bill. It was still worth $20, but it was paper. It was light, it was easy, it was convenient, it wasn't expensive. That was a big change. And then in the 60s, instead of paying cash for everything, can you imagine if we had to pay cash for everything today that we bought if we went into a store? In the 60s, we introduced a checkbook at the banks. And so we started writing checks, and we would go to the grocery store and write a check. And shortly after that, credit cards came into being, the banking laws changed, and we were introduced to credit, things like Visa, MasterCard, American Express. That became the way we conducted transactions. We've essentially, up until now, been continuing to use that. Now, here's the key point on why I tell you this. Even though it's been very few times that we've made the change, every time it's occurred, the early adopters have made the most money. Every time the visionaries or the strategists learn something about it and could develop a business, invest in it, or what have you, they made the most money. So now here we are on the cusp of yet our fourth change, very few times, with the introduction of blockchain and cryptocurrencies. And like has already been demonstrated and will continue to be demonstrated, the early adopters are making money. And I know that's where you want to be. And my goal tonight is to give you enough information so you can see how you can do it with this exciting change. When the big players in the market start identifying it as a part of our business, you know it has staying power and will be here for a while. Amazon has identified 3 domain names for their own tokens. They're taking over the world. If they're taking tokens or will take tokens on Amazon, you know it's going to be readily acceptable almost everywhere in a short period of time. They're just a behemoth. And then Facebook and Zuckerberg, I like this quote. He said, cryptocurrencies are the future. But the future is now. You can't wait till it's here and develop to jump in. You'll miss the best opportunity. So I want to transition now to defining really what the big deal is. Because you might be saying, I don't get it. I don't understand why I should even consider this. It just sounds like, technical mumbo jumbo. And if you don't spend enough time on it, maybe that's what it is. So I'm going to take 2 shots here. I'm going to give you the technical definition of blockchain and cryptocurrencies, but then I'm going to break it down as an example. And I think by the end of that, you'll say, aha, I get it. I see now why it's a big deal. So very first thing, what is blockchain? So here's the technical definition. It's a distributed, decentralized ledger that everybody can see, by the way, that is peer-to-peer, and it's visible to anybody who has a wallet. So imagine that you can see every transaction that takes place. They're anonymous, but you can see every transaction, and it's distributed all over the world. It's not centralized. It's an important point. So that's the technical definition. Well, then what are cryptocurrencies? Cryptocurrencies are the medium of exchange that sit on top of the blockchain platform for us to buy and sell goods, or to use a token to transfer information or money and do a deal. So blockchain is like the plumbing underneath, and Bitcoin is the coin or the cryptocurrency that runs on the blockchain for us to conduct transactions. Now that's the very high level technical definition. And you might be saying, what's the big deal? I don't care. Legitimate. So let me tell you as an example how significant it is. And I want to paint a picture for you. Let's say we were sitting in an auditorium at a school, and you're one of 1,000 people sitting in that auditorium. We're all staring at the stage. I'm on the stage, and another lady's on the stage. She has a guitar. I've got a $100 bill. I pull a $100 bill out of my pocket. She's going to buy the guitar from me. I'm going to buy the guitar from her. And I look to everybody in the audience, all 1,000 people in the auditorium, and I say, did everybody see me pull this $100 bill out of my pocket? Does everybody agree that it's my $100 bill and I am who I am? And all 1,000 people in the auditorium said, yes, we agree, not one dissenter. And we said, of the lady, does everybody agree she had the guitar and it was her asset and she came up here? Yes. I give the $100 bill to the lady, she gives me the guitar. I turn to the audience, I say, does everybody agree I just paid her for this asset or this product that I purchased? All 1,000 of you, anybody disagree? All reconciles in your mind that it was a legitimate transaction, and everybody says yes. Now, why do I tell you that? Blockchain is essentially, instead of 1,000 people watching the transaction, blockchain is 1,000 servers all distributed all over the world watching the transaction. And the servers have every previous transaction we've done, and they have the current transaction. So if those servers do not reconcile the fact that that $100 bill is mine based on my wallet, the transaction won't get completed. And vice versa for the lady. So the disruptive change is that you have that distributed ledger that everybody's watching, and it is immediately validated as a legitimate transaction. Think about how that has to occur today. If I were just 1 mile down the street, there would be no way for me to get her the $100 bill in cash. I would have to write a check. I would have to wire her money. I would have to somehow call her and give a credit card. There's no way for me to do it peer-to-peer if I'm not with her. And because she doesn't know who I am, I have to have an intermediary to establish the trust of the transaction. We call them banks. So I need a bank account. I've got to have my money in an account. She needs a bank account. And all of that process that's centralized and oversaw by banks and governments is our current situation that makes complexity, expense, and control out of our hands. Blockchain technology and then the cryptocurrency, like the $100 bill, eliminates all that. And the transaction is validated immediately as being legitimate, accurate, and without error. That, folks, is a big change. And in that big change comes your opportunity. So, cryptocurrencies, there are 1,600. Here are the top 12. I've talked a lot about Bitcoin. It was the original in 2008 when it was developed. So it is the big gorilla, if you will, right now in the industry. It has $135 billion worldwide market valuation in a short period of time. And when I say market valuation, that means that the individuals that hold a Bitcoin at $7,900 each total up 130. I think there are 25 million Bitcoin wallets. Ethereum is another cryptocurrency. Ripple's number 3, you've got Bitcoin Cash. So you begin to see how the values in the marketplace are stacking up for the different cryptocurrencies. And every one of these cryptocurrencies run on a blockchain. You might be saying, wow, those are big numbers. 1,600 cryptocurrencies, hundreds of billions of dollars. I've missed it. I've missed it already. No, you haven't. The scale and size of this opportunity for the market and for you is tremendous. And I'm going to use this slide as a way to define it, okay? Because when I talk about conducting commerce and world's transactions, you need to have a perspective of how big it is. The green circle that's on the slide in front of you represents all the money in circulation in the world. It's $90 trillion. The blue circle, which is a big circle, that's our stock markets. That's another 73 trillion in market value. That's all transaction based. Now the gold market, everybody thinks gold's huge, and it is relatively speaking. The gold market is in the gold in the center, looks like a bullseye. It's a $7 trillion market. Still a huge market, but relative to the whole market, not very big. What I found surprising, and many people find surprising, is the gray inner circle as we get tighter and tighter. That represents the amount of physical dollars in the world, US dollars, in circulation, meaning the actual printed $100 bill, $20 bill, $10 bill. There's only $1.6 trillion of printed money in the world. So we do a lot of things digitally right now in a centralized way. We digitally send money. The Federal Reserve creates money digitally. They're not printing all that money. There's only 1.6 million in actual physical money. And then finally, right in the dead center, at $300 billion, are cryptocurrencies. Do you see how much opportunity there is as this market expands in every country, in every discipline, all over the world? If it were a baseball game, we would be in the top of the first inning. All the upside and running room is right in front of you. And merchants, meaning companies that would accept it as payment, although growing, are still just getting started. Overstock.com, Microsoft, you hear about them all the time. They're starting to take cryptocurrencies as a means of payment. But think about all the companies that are out there that have yet to sign up. Think about those opportunities as well. So I'm hoping right now that you're getting a sense of how significant this change is, how new it is, and starting to pull together, based on your skills, some areas that you see you could play in, take a risk in. Now, maybe you don't have it right just yet. So I'm going to give you a couple of teasers of where other people are making money and plan to make money. They're basic areas, but you have the skill sets to do all this. First, you can just make an investment in cryptocurrencies. Established cryptocurrencies that are out there right now, if you just set up a wallet and learn a little bit about it, you can make an investment in Bitcoin or Litecoin or Ethereum and speculate that it's going to keep going up, and you make a return as a passive investor. If you don't have any Bitcoin and you have the means, that's a great place to start once you learn a little bit. There's a ton of upside potential in cryptos. I just showed you Bitcoin earlier. It went from 30 cents to $7,900. Wow. What's the next Bitcoin that's going to go that high? And if you find it, you're going to be excited. Another area where people make money, and it's probably, frankly, an area that you'll be most excited about, is trading cryptocurrencies, where you're on an application and you're tracking the cryptocurrencies that you're interested in. Maybe it's a new ICO, new token that's come out, and you can buy it for 30 cents or 50 cents, but you think the business model makes sense, and you put some money to it and you day trade it. You buy other cryptos, you sell it, and you become like a stock trader or an options trader. You become a crypto trader. Many, many people are making money in that area, but it's just getting started. That might be something that excites you. Incorporating crypto into your business, and I put this out there because I've spoken to a lot of individuals in the real estate industry, and others are starting to buy real estate with cryptocurrencies. Maybe that's not happening in your local market. If you're in real estate, as an example, what if you became the broker that really understood how to do a crypto transaction to buy a residence? How many referrals do you think you would get because you're ahead of the game compared to everybody else? Again, these are just tidbits to pique your interest on how this can change your personal life. You can leapfrog your competition if you do that. And then finally, after you've learned a little bit more, maybe you see the opportunity for you to have your own token. Something in your business that you can tokenize and get out in front of the competition, create a token, bring it to the marketplace, and really make bank. I want to paint a picture for you that says, even though you're not even in this space right now, the upside potential is huge. And that's what you want. That's what I wanted. A year ago, I wasn't in cryptocurrencies. A year ago, I wasn't teaching cryptocurrencies. I didn't have my own token in my company. I wasn't going around the country talking to individuals of how they use it. That was just a year ago. So just in my own world, cryptocurrencies have created tremendous opportunity that if I execute well, could be a great business for me. And it can also be that for you. Now, you can't cover everything right now, but I think that's enough for you to know whether this is something you should pursue or not. Because, frankly, don't get caught up like I have for so many years where I've missed technologies because I was just busy doing my day job. You don't have to pick one or the other. You can do both. You got it? Now it's time to go for it. And it's so simple to go for it. All you really have to do is invest a little bit of your own time, a little bit of your own effort, and you'll be so glad that you did. I don't want you to look back 3 years from now and say, why didn't I know more about this? Why didn't I try this? So my objective today is to give you a teaser to say, let's go to the next step. Give you enough information to say, this is my opportunity. I've been looking for this. This is where I can make a change. And just to remind you, you know, it's a major technology change. Every time in history this happens, early adopters like you, if you jump in, tend to make the most money. And finally, and I think it's going to appeal to many of you, this is a lifestyle change. The idea of a borderless, decentralized, meaning not being controlled by a bank or a government, but you're in charge of your information and your financial future, having your wealth wherever you go on the planet, is significant. This is the first technology that's enabled us to do that. Doesn't matter whether you learn it today or not, it's going to impact your life. Could be 2 years from now, 5 years from now, or 10 years from now. If it's going to do that, why not jump in? Find out how you can exploit it and how you can make the money that you want to make. So, one more slide to say it's new. There have only been, this slide's as of the first quarter of 18. As I said, there are 25 million wallets. I think it's up to about 40 million now. 40 million sounds like a big number. There are 8 billion people on the planet. It's still just getting started. And by the way, we'll show you how to set up a wallet. So, I mentioned trading cryptocurrencies because many of you might be interested in trading. So you're doing your work during the day, but you're tracking your cryptos, or maybe you're looking at them in the evening or on the weekends. You know, if you could only learn how to try and track patterns or ranges or volatilities in cryptos, you'd be ahead of the game. Wouldn't you like to know how to do that? It's not that hard. You just need somebody to teach you. This is a way that many people are making money, and it will grow exponentially. So I'm going to move to what I would suggest you do for the next step. You need to invest in yourself. Nobody's going to call you and say, hey, come and work for my crypto company. Your phone's not going to ring to say, hey, invest in my ICO. This is your opportunity to spend a little time to invest in yourself. I mean, if you've got kids like I do, I can't think of how much money that I have invested in. One of the ways we do that is we help you by giving you a tracking application so that you can understand how cryptocurrencies are performing and how your wallets are performing. I'll get into that more later, but just so you know, we want to equip you with the tools necessary for you to make the money that you want to make. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to purchase a digital workshop. And this digital workshop will do many things that you need to get started in this incredible opportunity. It will teach you how to even set up a wallet. It will teach you how to understand exchanges and how you can track performances of cryptos. It will teach you what definitionally these things are. If you want to be a trader, we're going to hit some of those things that we talked about and give you an application that makes it easy for you to do. We're going to give you individualized coaching if you want it. And you can do it from the comfort of your own home in a digital way that gets you to the next step. I can't think of an opportunity that could be greater, where you could spend a small amount of money to make a huge difference in your career and your future. And then this first bullet, we go around and do live workshops as well. If we're in your area and you've purchased the digital workshop, but we also offer a live workshop, you can do both. It's all in the same price. We also, as I said, we'll set up your wallets. We want to jumpstart you with a 30-minute individual session. I bet you have a million questions. And you're saying, well, what about this? What about that? We'll cover them all. That's not the point today. The point today is I want to move you from apprehension and fear to measurable risk and future success. And that's what this 3-day workshop does. I mentioned earlier that my business started a new token. I'm going to give you one of those. It's called Trident Gold. It's a cryptocurrency backed by gold. We're going to put one in your wallet as soon as you get it set up as a part of being in the workshop. We're going to teach you how to buy and sell coins. I've got a few secrets I've learned. And when I say secrets, it means mistakes I've made. I don't want you to make the same ones. So we want to give you a head start. We want to give you a base knowledge on how you buy coins versus currency, how you put your money in an exchange and trade on cryptos. Doesn't that sound exciting? And then finally, we give you a personalized DG Capital tracker with a subscription for 30 days. This is your centralized center where you get the information you need, you track the cryptos you want and have, how they're performing, and it's really your measurement every day, sometimes multiple times during the day, on how things are going, especially if you're a day trader or if you want to put some money at risk or you want to invest. This is a critical tool that we've spent a lot of time developing so it meets the needs of the crypto investor and trader. And I think you're going to be excited when you see it in the workshop because it's a very powerful tool. And then finally, because you're in our family, we give you newsletters and webinars, more content to keep you up to speed on what's going on in this marketplace. Now you might be thinking, whoa, man, I just don't have any money right now. I just don't know if I can afford it. You can afford this. You spend more, or at least I know I do, I spend more at Starbucks than what this workshop would cost me in a month. And I bet you do too. This entire package we give to you for $199. Have you ever been able to get so much knowledge on a new technology in the comfort of your own home so inexpensively? And you get the trader, the tracker, the wallet, it's all in there. You can do it in your leisure. This is not a break the bank investment for your future. And I think you know that. What you've got to get over the hump is to say, I'm going for it. This is what I need to tap into that financial future I want. So how do you do it? Very simple. We've set up a site for you to go to make the purchase for the 3-day workshop. It's called howyoucancrypto.com. Again, let me say it again, howyoucancrypto.com. If you want to quickly just take a picture on your phone in case you forget how to spell it, so you've got it for later. But as soon as we're done with this webinar, now's the time to go do it. So you don't get caught up in everything else and you forget about it and you lose interest or lose sight. If I've hit a nerve and this is something you want to take time to do at such a small dollar amount, go now, make the purchase. You can watch it whenever you want, but lock it in, get out in front of everybody else. You're going to be the envy of the cocktail parties because you can answer cryptocurrency questions. Nobody else can do it. At the end of this workshop, you're going to be seen as somebody who is very knowledgeable on a very new approach in the financial world. So, last point I'm going to make, I want to reinforce it. Don't get caught up in the negative. or the fear. Very, very rarely does something as significant as this come along in our lifetime where the playing field is still level, meaning it's not a mature industry. Nobody's made all the money yet. You're at the same place as everybody else. All you have to do is jump in. And I'm giving you the opportunity to do it at a small price to take the next step that will change your career, your financial future, and give you the financial freedom and the lifestyle you want. And isn't that really why we're all here? So go now, sign up. I look forward to seeing you at the workshop. I actually conduct the workshops, and I think you'll be excited about what you learn and the opportunity it creates. Thank you very much for your time tonight.